The artificial intelligence boom is the biggest business story of the decade. Trillions of dollars in deals. The most valuable companies in history. It looks like the purest demand imaginable. The whole world suddenly desperate to buy computing power all at once. But follow the money carefully. Actually trace where each dollar goes, and a very strange pattern starts to appear. The buyers and the sellers keep turning out to be the same small handful of companies. They invest in each other. They buy from each other. The same dollars circle round and round between them. And every time a dollar completes a lap, somebody books it as brand new revenue. So the trillion-dollar question is simple and a little unsettling. Is this an explosion of real demand, or just a very expensive circle? To see the circle, follow a single dollar around the track. It starts at Nvidia, the company that makes the chips everyone needs. Nvidia takes some of its enormous profit and invests it into OpenAI, the maker of ChatGPT. So far, that just looks like an investment. But watch where that dollar goes next. OpenAI uses the money to rent enormous amounts of computing power from cloud companies like Oracle and CoreWeave. And those cloud companies turn around and spend that very same money buying Nvidia chips. So the dollar leaves Nvidia, takes a lap through OpenAI and the cloud, then arrives right back at Nvidia, now wearing a name tag that says revenue. $1, one full loop, counted somewhere along the way as growth. And this is not a metaphor. These are real, enormous, publicly announced deals. Nvidia said it would invest up to $100 billion into OpenAI. OpenAI, in turn, signed a cloud deal with Oracle reportedly worth around $300 billion. Nvidia also owns a chunk of the cloud firm CoreWeave and has agreed to buy up CoreWeave's leftover computing capacity all the way out to 2032. The chipmaker AMD handed OpenAI the right to buy a big slice of AMD stock, on the condition that OpenAI buys AMD's chips. Add it all up, and OpenAI alone has committed somewhere north of $1 trillion in deals to a tight ring of partners. $1 trillion, mostly flowing in circles among the same few names. And it is not just 3 companies. The circle is really a dense web, with the same handful of names appearing again and again and again. Microsoft has poured tens of billions into OpenAI, and a lot of OpenAI's spending flows right back through Microsoft's own cloud. Broadcom is reportedly lined up for hundreds of billions in custom AI chips. SoftBank, Oracle, AMD, CoreWeave, all woven into the very same money map. In early 2026, Nvidia agreed to pour another $2 billion into CoreWeave, a cloud company already loaded with debt, so it could go buy yet more Nvidia chips. Read that one more time. The chipmaker is funding its own customer so that the customer can afford to buy its chips. Stack a dozen deals like that on top of each other, and you get a structure that looks less like a market and more like a hall of mirrors. Here's why the circle is so dangerous and so seductive. Every hop around the loop gets recorded as a real transaction on a real income statement. When Nvidia's money comes back as a chip order, Nvidia books revenue. When OpenAI's money flows to Oracle, Oracle books revenue. So a single dollar, circling the track, can inflate the reported sales of 3 or 4 different companies at once. Analysts estimate that something like $800 billion of these interlocking, circular arrangements now sit at the heart of the AI economy. From the outside, all of that booked revenue looks like roaring organic demand, and the stock prices have soared to match. But a lot of that demand is the industry quietly buying from itself. If this is making your stomach turn, it should, because we have watched this exact film before. In the late 1990s, telecom equipment giants like Lucent and Nortel wanted to sell mountains of gear. So they lent money to shaky young startups, specifically so those startups could turn around and buy their equipment. The loans got booked as sales. Revenue looked spectacular. The stocks went vertical. It was called vendor financing. Then the startups ran out of road and went bust. The sales evaporated because they were never really sales. They were the companies funding their own customers. The fiber optic demand turned out to be a mirage, and the equipment makers collapsed along with it. Circular financing did not just accompany the dot-com bust. It helped build it. Now layer on the part that makes a circle truly fragile: debt. Building these AI data centers costs staggering sums, and a lot of it is borrowed. CoreWeave, for instance, has taken on billions in debt to buy Nvidia chips, using the chips themselves as collateral for the loans. So you have circular equity propping up valuations and borrowed money stacked on top of that. When things rise, leverage makes everyone look like a genius, and the circle spins faster. But leverage is a two-way mirror. If the spinning ever slows, that same debt turns every wobble into a crash. The faster the money go-around turns, the more it has to keep turning just to stay upright. So what holds the whole thing together? One single assumption: that eventually real demand shows up, that you and businesses and the rest of the actual economy end up paying enough for AI to justify the trillion-plus being spent building it. As long as that real, outside money is coming, the circle is just early-stage financing for a genuine revolution. But if the real revenue keeps lagging far behind the spending, then the circle has nothing underneath it. It becomes a closed loop of giants paying each other, with no fresh money ever entering from the outside world. And a closed loop, no matter how enormous, cannot grow on its own forever. At some point, someone has to actually pay. The entire boom is a bet that real demand arrives before the music stops. Now, to be fair, there are two very different ways to read all of this. The bulls say, relax. The demand is real, and it is growing fast. People and businesses genuinely are paying for AI, and that revenue is compounding. In their view, the circular deals are simply how you finance a once-in-a-generation build-out, before all the real customers have fully arrived. The bears say, we have heard that exact song before, and it ended in a crash. Some prominent investors have already placed enormous bets against the AI darlings. Their worry is simple. The spending is happening right now in the trillions. The matching real-world revenue is not here yet and may never fully arrive. And the honest answer is that nobody truly knows which camp is right. Both are staring at the very same dazzling, spinning circle. The only thing that is certain is the size of the bet. It is now big enough to move the entire stock market and your retirement account along with it. So strip away the breathless headlines and look at the shape of it. A small group of the most powerful companies on Earth are financing each other's purchases of each other's products from each other. And the market is pricing every lap of that circle as if it were brand new demand from the outside world. Maybe it works. Maybe real AI demand floods in, catches up to the spending, and every one of these deals looks brilliant in hindsight. Or maybe it is the most expensive game of pass the parcel in financial history, and we only find out what is inside when the music stops. Either way, it is worth remembering one quiet little fact as the dazzling numbers fly past. $1 that travels in a circle is still, in the end, only $1.